You don't even need to be in the stadium to feel it. It's enough to hear the muffled roar of a distant crowd, see the light slicing through the dark sky, imagine the smell of grass mixed with sweat and fear. Something deep inside you tightens, an ancient, almost primal part that connects to a collective instinct to belong to something greater. Your heart races, even if you're sitting at home, even if you're far away, because in that moment, on that field, there is someone carrying the weight of an entire dream. For you, for all of us, it's the quarterback. He lifts his eyes under the helmet, breathes deeply, adjusts his fingers on the ball, and you think you know what he's feeling, think you understand the magnitude. But the truth is, in that exact instant when every eye is fixed on him, no one sees what's really happening. No one notices that he isn't just a symbol. He's a trembling body, a heart pounding too fast, a boy crushed under layers of expectation, desperately trying not to lose himself inside it all. You think you cheer for wins, but what keeps you tied to this game, what makes you come back again and again, goes much deeper. It's the nearly silent recognition of the human effort that pulses behind every. It's seeing someone out there on the edge of what they can endure, and knowing deep down they're not just fighting for, they're fighting too. There's a moment when a name stops being just a name, when Mahomes is no longer just Patrick, when the quarterback is no longer just a player. He becomes a symbol, a vessel into which everyone pours their hopes, frustration, demand. He comes to be seen as the embodiment of victory, defeat, with no room for, no margin to just be human. The fan forgets that under the helmet is a real face, one that trembles fear. The commentator forgets that behind the stats are sleepless nights, muscle pain that won't go away, family and personal pressure crushing his breath. The team forgets that he too needs comfort, a kind word, support that doesn't just demand, but also gives. He himself forgets that he's not invincible, not made of steel, not born to bear the weight of so many crossed expectations on his own. And there, in the silence between plays, he tries to remember who he was before all of this, before becoming an icon, before becoming a symbol, before becoming the hero. Everyone projects, but no one truly knows, because in the end, one question burns from within. If everyone only sees you for what you represent, can they still see who you truly are? He learned early that a leader doesn't cry, that a leader doesn't show fear, that a leader holds firm even when everything around is falling apart. It's an unspoken code passed through looks, hard words, training that demands more than the body can give. You're the quarterback, you're the rock, but there is a cruel truth hidden in that role. The more he tries to hold everything together alone, the more distant he becomes. He becomes a fortress sealed so tightly that even his teammates can't break through. He smiles when he has to smile, speaks when he has to speak, but inside, the crack widens, and the team feels it. The silence that settles weighs in the huddles, in the plays behind the scenes. The quarterback, who was supposed to be the center of connection, becomes, little by little, an isolated figure. Because leadership isn't about shutting down. Leadership isn't about swallowing tears in the locker room or hiding exhaustion on the bench. Leadership is about openings, about letting vulnerability build bridges, walls. And when he understands that, when he sees that true strength lies in sharing the not carrying it alone, something changes. The team no longer plays just for him. They play with him. They play for him. Because in the end, no one wins, and no one should ever have to try. It's easy to believe he holds absolute power, that every play comes from his brilliance, that every victory rests on his shoulders, that every loss is solely his fault. But football isn't a game of individual control. It's a collective organism, a living fabric stitched together by dozens of hands, minds. The quarterback relies on the offensive line to hold off the hungry. He relies on the receiver to run the exact route, on the coach to read the opponent, on the kicker to seal the scoreboard. He relies on the weather, the turf, the exact second when everything either aligns or falls apart. When he throws an interception, there are dozens of unseen stories behind that. When he hesitates, there are invisible pressures, sudden shifts, risks no one in the stands can fully see. He's not a lone maestro, conducting every move with perfect. He is a central piece, yes, within a carefully orchestrated chaos that demands everything from everyone. And when we imagine it all depends solely on him, we forget the raw and real beauty of this game. It doesn't belong to a single star. It belongs to the collective, to the weaving together of talent, failure, effort, and miracles that make each game unpredictable, alive, intense. Behind every great quarterback, there's an entire universe pulsing, and it's that universe, not just one man, that makes the game happen. The greatest danger isn't failing. The greatest danger is believing that to lead, you must silence everything you feel. The young quarterback, eager to prove his worth, tries to stifle fear, swallow frustration, armor his chest as if toughness alone were enough. But the body demands, the mind demands, the team feels it. The key isn't in being heroic, it's in being human, owning your mistakes without bearing the guilt alone, celebrating successes by sharing credit, turning each play into a collective victory, surrounding yourself with voices that don't demand perfection but offer safe space to speak, to vent, to breathe. When a young quarterback learns to build a circle of trust, whether with coaches, teammates, or family, he begins to understand that pressure doesn't have to crush him. It can be shared, transformed, reshaped. And more importantly, he discovers that true leadership doesn't come from the absence of failure. It comes from the ability to face emotional chaos without isolating, without losing connection, without forgetting that, in the end, no talent thrives alone. Lasting greatness is the kind that learns to lean, that learns to trust, that learns to be vulnerable, not as weakness, but as a vital part of its own strength. On the field, he is not just an athlete. He is the meeting point of energies that go far beyond the physical. The quarterback channels the focused gaze of the coach, the electric pulse of the stadium, the frantic beat of his teammates beside him. He carries not just tactics on his shoulder, but expectations, stories, symbols that echo through generations. He is unknowingly a shaman of the sports tribe, someone who moves between worlds, the world of rational planning and the world of collective emotion, the world of technical execution and the world of meaning. And like every shaman, he must understand that he cannot absorb everything alone. When he tries to be only a vessel, he burns out. When he learns to be a channel, he blooms. When he accepts that his role is not to carry, but to direct, not to endure, but to transform, he frees not only himself, but the entire team. The quarterback who smiles in the huddle, who meets eyes in the locker room, who takes a deep breath before the snap, isn't just playing football. He's connecting dozens, hundreds, thousands of people to something far greater than the score. He is saying, without words, we're in this together. And it's that silent, almost invisible magic that transforms a simple game into a collective ritual that touches something deep in all of us. You run, you give everything, you take the hits, you get back up, keep going. It doesn't matter if you're in the field, in the stands, on the couch at home, or wrapped in a blanket on a cold, lonely night. You feel the game in your body, you feel the tension of the fourth quarter on your skin, you feel the impact of a game-deciding pass deep in your chest. And no matter how much it sometimes hurts you, no matter how often it lets you down, you come back. You always come back. Because football has never been just a game. It's always been a mirror of human effort, a mirror of quiet courage, a mirror of the pain no one sees, but everyone carries. When you look at the quarterback, when you scream for him, when you suffer with him, deep down, you're recognizing something of yourself in him, the fear of failing, the longing to get it right, the desperate need to belong, to matter, to have that one moment when everything makes sense. That's why we keep loving this game, not because it promises eternal victories, not because it guarantees happy endings, but because in every snap, it reminds us that we're alive, that we're part of something, that we are seen, that even when we stumble, we fall, we cry over a loss, no one else understands, it's still worth it. Because in that space between chaos and beauty, between pain and glory, we find what drives us, what keeps us going, what, without us even realizing, transforms us. If this touched, if at any moment during this video your heart tightened, if you saw your own invisible battles in this story, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below. When was the moment football broke you and then rebuilt you? And if you believe that we are a community that understands not just the wins, but also the pain and the sacrifices behind them, subscribe to this channel. Here, we don't tell stories to impress. We tell them to remind you You are not alone. You never were.